Hey guys, I am really excited today because I am planting my very first fruit tree guild and beginning to create a food forest underneath our fruit trees. So I've actually been waiting until the weather was decent so I could film, because oftentimes we have such downpours of rain here in the Pacific Northwest that I get worried for camera equipment, and I really wanted to share this with you guys. I'm super excited about it. So with our fruit trees, a lot of our fruit trees have been in for a number of years. Most of these guys, like this one's at least 12 years old, and having them in where the grass is a very nitrogen robbing thing. So you don't really want grass up around the bottom of your plants because it's going to steal a lot of the nitrogen. Grass roots really compact the soil, so then stuff can't get down. They're just not actually a great combination. So 2 years ago, we dug all of the area, all of the sod, all of the grass out from beneath the fruit trees because they were showing some nutrient deficiencies. And we put down cardboard as a weed blocker. People have lots of opinions on using cardboard or not. I put down cardboard. Then we covered it with mulch. But the problem with that is nature doesn't really like bare ground. We also have some moles. My poor mouser cat is getting really up there in years, and she does not keep the moles away like she used to. So we're now dealing with moles. You can see where they've come up and made tunneling. But as our orchard grows and as everything grows, I don't really want to have systems in place where I'm having to continually remulch and weed year after year after year. Now, once the mulch is down, this has been down going on 2 years now, and I have not weeded at all. So it's really cut back on the weeds. But if I don't keep on top of it, eventually, things are going to start growing in here, where you can see where I've got some grass that's coming in, and then just a hodgepodge of other weeds. So when I was doing my podcast interview, episode number 296 of the Pioneering Today podcast, I was interviewing Darren from Grow with Nature. And he was telling me about how he plants his fruit tree guilds. And I got really excited. If you listen to that episode, you know I was taking notes and I got my plants in. So one of the first ones that I'm going to be putting in here is my lupin. So the great thing about lupin is they have extremely long tap roots, much longer than dandelions or almost anything. They have really long tap roots. But the other great thing about them is they are naturally nitrogen fixers. So just like beans and peas in an annual vegetable garden, the riverbank lupin does the same thing. So it will actually help because of that really long tap root. That's going to help break up any compacted soil. So that's a benefit. But due to that long tap root and because it's a nitrogen fixer, it will help draw up the available nitrogen that's in the soil underneath the tree and make it available for the fruit tree roots to be able to get it. And it produces beautiful blossoms. So there's quite a few blossoms on this guy right now. Well, not blossoms yet, but you can see where this is going to come out and it'll be spikes of just beautiful colors. So it's also pollinator friendly, which we know with your fruit trees, now the fruit trees are actually, my cherry tree is already, you can see it's in its blossoming stage right now. So the blossoms of the lupin and the cherry tree are not going to correspond at the same time, but it's going to provide more blossoms for the bees and just help to create a better pollinator habitat within our yard. And the great thing is this is going to be pretty, but it's going to also benefit the tree. And my hope is I'm going to let them go to seed, and that these will reseed, and these I will cultivate and keep more of them growing underneath the tree where I want have to be weeding because I want these to grow rather than having weeds and grass under here that I have to keep pulling up. So this is one of the first ones that I'm going to put in here. So that's going to go there. And then I have another one that I'm going to be adding to it because I want to do a combination of this plant is going to be beneficial for the pollinators and the fruit tree and the soil. But I want to do some perennial vegetables so that I actually have some edible crops underneath the fruit tree and that act as a little bit more of a ground cover so that they will keep the weeds at bay. But this is something that I can also eat. So under this tree, here I have got miner's lettuce. And you guys, I have to confess something. When I got this in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much of this growing natively around our property. but I'm gonna actually plant the one I officially bought, and then I will go out into the woods and get a bunch of them where I could have got a whole bunch for free if I had bothered to really look at the leaves and do a proper identification. I could have saved myself the trouble of actually ordering this, but now I know for sure that this is actually miner's lettuce. I don't know how to pronounce the Latin name, but it's Claytonia perfoliata. I probably butchered it, but anyhow. So this is going to go in, and what's great about this is it is a great green that is completely edible. You can obviously add it to salads, put it on sandwiches as a sprout, whatever you want to do. Actually, I have not tasted it yet, so let's do a little taste test. I'm going to pick a smaller one because usually the smaller leaves on greens aren't as bitter. A little bit crunchy, which is nice. Very, very mild. Actually, there's no bitter flavor at all. It's kind of good. It's almost a little bit, I'm just going to have lunch here, okay? It's almost slightly sweet for a green. I mean, it's not like dessert. It's actually really good. Anyhow, let's get these planted. You guys, I upgraded. Look at this beautiful watering can. It's not the plastic one that had the plugged holes anymore. And I am absolutely thrilled. This is actually the first time I used it. I finally decided it was time to get a real gardener's watering can. I'm very impressed with the way that it comes out. So it's great about the miner's lettuce is it can actually grow in shade or sun. And right now, in the earlier part of spring, the cherry tree is almost all the way leafed out. And this is gonna get the morning sun because we're filming this in the morning, but then by the time it hits afternoon where it's hotter and the sun moves over, this will get a little bit more in the shade. And same thing with the lupin. It can grow in full sun too, but it also does fine in a shaded, dappled environment. Okay, so we've got 2 more plants to add to our fruit tree guild, and this next one, this is a Henderson's checker mallow. So the great thing is you can eat the leaves all year long, but this is one of those that is also a blossoming, it's a flower, so it's gonna be pretty. Also gonna help with the pollinators. And I kind of am loving how we're bringing some beauty and some flowers in here that are also edible. Like they just serve multiple purposes. So I'm very excited about that. And now I was so impressed with the miner's lettuce, why not do a taste test on these too? Even if I do have gardener dirt on my hands, but you know what? A little dirt never hurt anybody. Let's see what these taste like. They're not as good. The miner's lettuce was like really tender and almost sweet. These are a little more, not really bitter. They definitely would be fine in a salad like with other flavors, but like the miner's lettuce I think I could eat and snack on almost like a snow pea. Not so much with these. They're not bad, and I'm sure they'll be fine in a lettuce, like a salad, like with lettuce and dressing. I'm not overly impressed with just eating them as is, but they'll be fine that way. Then this other one that we've got here, this is a redwood sorrel. So this is also an edible green. It doesn't get big pretty blossoms on it like the checker mallow and the lupine will, so I'm kind of staggering it. So I've got more of a ground cover, smaller leaves, still edible though, so a perennial vegetable, which is great. So we're going to put that one in, but they're going to kind of be staggered underneath the tree. And this one just doesn't have very many leaves on it yet, but I still want to taste one. So I'm only going to take a small portion off of here because when it has that little of them on there, I don't want to rob it of too many leaves. This one kind of takes you by surprise because it changes flavors as you're chewing it. It's not bitter. It almost has like a lemony bite to it. Not hot, not peppery like a nasturtium, but it definitely has a flavor to it. I like it a lot better actually than the checker mallow, but it has a stronger flavor profile. It's very interesting in comparison to the miner's lettuce. So it's good, but it's definitely stronger. Okay, let's get it in the ground before I am tempted to just eat all of the leaves to try to figure out exactly what it is it tastes like. I can't quite nail it. It's good though. So with this redwood sorrel, I couldn't help it. I had to take another bite because my brain was trying to figure out the flavor profiles. And it is almost peppery, but not super spicy. So it kind of is more like an herb. Like it's not the same as basil, but you know how you kind of get that spice from some of those herbs or that pungency and bright. I don't know if it will retain that flavor when cooked, but I think that this will be excellent in a salad or on a sandwich because it does bring that bright flavor profile. So if you are looking to plant new fruit trees, make sure that you watch the video on how to properly plant a fruit tree so that you will get years and years of harvest out of it. And if you want to check out the podcast episode where this is just a handful of the plants that we talked about and went over on creating food forests and different strategies that you can implement so that you're creating perennial food systems that complement one another, you're going to want to check that episode out. And so all of that, along with links to some of the tools and the nursery, which I'm not affiliated with, it's just where I ordered the plants. I'll have all of that in the video description beneath the video so you can check those out.